It's only a movie. Only a movie.
November 16th, 1957. A sleepy hardware store in Plainfield, Wisconsin sits eerily quiet. Blood stains the floor. The owner's gone. That day, this small town would meet Ed Gein, the butcher of Plainfield. The Plainfield Ghoul, a man whose crimes would scar America's psyche. He wasn't a serial killer by numbers, with just 2 confirmed murders. But step inside his filthy farmhouse and you'd find something worse. A gallery of defiled corpses, human skin stitched into lampshades, skulls turned into soup bowls. Gein's story isn't just gruesome, it's the twisted root of horror icons like 1960s Psycho and 1974's The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But in 1974, one film dared to get closer. Deranged, starring Robert Blossom as Ezra Cobb, didn't just borrow from Gein, it dug into his soul. Today, we're dissecting Gein's warped life, his upbringing, his atrocities, and weaving it with Deranged to see where truth bleeds into terror. At the time of the film's release, 1974's Deranged would be the most accurate depiction of Ed Gein, and the film would maintain that horrifying honour for several decades. Ed Gein would be renamed as Ezra Cobb in the theatrical portrayal. Much like Gein and his mother Augusta, Ezra Cobb lived alone with his mother, Amanda, a religious zealot who indoctrinated Ezra since childhood. She hammered lessons into Ed and his brother Henry. Booze is Satan's juice, women are promiscuous devils, and sex off limits. She demanded they stay virgins well into their 20s, while burying them in farm chores to keep the world at bay. Augusta loathed her drunk husband, clinging to her sons for companionship instead. In a twisted turn of events, Augusta's warnings of women would cause Ed to have a fascination with one woman in particular, his own mother. In Deranged, Ezra Cobb's world mirrors this. His mother Amanda, frail and venomous, spits warnings. The wages of sin are gonorrhea, syphilis and death.
Remember what I've always told you. The wages of sin is gonorrhea, syphilis and death.
Robert Blossom plays Ezra as a fragile Midwestern simpleton, chained to Amanda's bedside, her only companion. When she dies, the film doesn't flinch. Ezra's unravelling feels suffocatingly real. Both men, real and fictional, couldn't let go. Ezra's world cracks open, just like Gein's. Both hear their mother's voices after death, hallucinations driving them to the edge. After Augusta's death, Ed Gein turned to the dead for company. Plainfield's graveyards became his hunting ground. He clawed up corpses, middle-aged women, stand-ins for his mother, ripping heads off with his hands. He wasn't after sex despite the rumours. They smelled too bad, he'd say later, deadpan. No, Ed Gein wanted parts. Skin to sew, bones to hoard. He was building something. A woman's suit, a skin-crawling tribute to Augusta he could wear. Deranged understands this grim devotion. Ezra digs up Amanda's whole body, and the film tiptoes into black comedy. My favourite scene. Ezra is pulled over, his necrotic mother next to him, and her rotting stench wafting out.
It's just a hog I butchered is all.
He lies to the cop, then mutters,
I apologise for calling you a hog, Mum.
It's twisted, funny, and pure Gein, unhinged yet loyal. The men would scour obituaries searching for their next twisted trophy. Deranged skips the woman's suit, but doubles down on Ezra's fixation, piling up corpses like a demented curator. Both men were feeding an obsession until the dead weren't enough. Ed Gein's mask would eventually slip. In 1954, he shot Mary Hogan, a tavern owner echoing Augusta's build, and took her home. His farm became a butcher's gallery, a wastebasket of skin, skulls on bedposts, bowls sawed from craniums, a face lampshade, a nipple belt, stuff no sane mind conjures. In the most chilling scene of the movie, Cobb slashes the tires of a waitress he had become infatuated with. Cobb offers her a ride to his home, where he has spare tires. When Cobb disappears into his home for an extended period of time, Mary reluctantly wanders inside to find him. She finds Ezra surrounded by corpses, his face obscured with a mask of human flesh, as he hauntingly belts out a tune. The sickening events that transpire will haunt you, as Ezra strips her down, flirts with sexually assaulting her, and eventually beats her to death with human remains. It's sickening, and damn close to Gein's vibe. The film tweaks reality. Ed Gein didn't lure like Ezra. He struck fast. But both houses scream the same truth. These men built shrines to madness. Deranged and its Hollywood polish can't out-weird Ed Gein's real inventory, but it tries with effects from horror legend Tom Savini in his sophomoric stint. On the morning of November 16th, 1957, the 58-year-old owner of a hardware store, Bernice Warden, disappeared. In the film, the victim is portrayed as a young teenage woman. When Deputy Sheriff Frank Warden, the son of the victim, entered the store, he found the cash register opened and bloodstains on the floor. Both Ezra Cobb and Gein were the primary and only suspects. In the film, eyewitnesses pinpoint Ezra at the scene, while Ed Gein was the customer on a handwritten receipt left at the store. In both cases, the first people to arrive at the killer's farm witnessed the victims hung upside down by her legs, with a crossbar at their ankles and rope on their wrists. The torso was, quote, dressed out like a deer, and the victim had been shot with a rifle. Officers took inventory of the defiled house of horrors. In the film, a mob torches Ezra's place. A narrator caps it off, breaking the fourth wall. Ed Gein's house burned too, likely arson, but his story dragged on. Ed Gein's story would drag on in the form of a legal battle and debate over his mental competency. Ultimately, Ed Gein would stand trial and spend the rest of his life in a mental hospital after it was ruled that he was not guilty by reason of insanity. Ed Gein would die from a combination of respiratory failure and lung cancer in 1984 at the age of 77. The film Deranged pushed the boundaries with its graphic effects. Director Bob Clark, famous for horror entries such as Black Christmas and Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, co-produced the film, though he is uncredited after asking to have his name removed, citing the content as too disturbing. Tom Savini's gore works on screen, but what about that narrator speckled throughout the film? Some, like Savini, say it pulls you out. Others call it a fresh framing trick. Love it or hate it, it's a quirky nod to documentary roots. Ed Gein birthed horror's blueprint. Deranged keeps his ghost alive. Its legacy creeps on, whispered among horror diehards, rivaling the Ghoul himself. So, what's worse, the man or the myth? Hit that subscribe and tell me below. Always remember, we love you so much, it's scary.